Ms. Hobbs.
Light up when it. Yeah.
The informal meeting of the City Commission is hereby called to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mrs. Brown?
Here.
Mrs. Houston? Here. Mrs. Tackett? Here. Dr. Estrop?
Here.
Mr. Rue?
Mr. Rue is out of town on a planned holiday, so I will be chairing the meeting in his absence this evening. Mr. Manager, would you please introduce us to the work session item?
Yes, thank you, Commission. As you know, we have been working towards an update to our zoning code. That has been since 2001, since we had a major update to the zoning code. And you've had presentations from Wadehi Agwan and Cheyenne Shuttleworth in the past. And tonight we have the consultants that are working with our staff and team on this zoning code update to present what they found through the public engagement process. And with us tonight is Nate Wyangaisi and Jeff Razor, who will be talking to us about what they've seen so far through the public engagement and what the next steps are for the process. With that, I'll turn it over to Jeff and Nate.
Thank you so much. Good to be back in Springfield. I feel like it's a second home for me. I am Jeff Racer, and I'm with Cuda Studio.
And my name is Nate Wyangaisi, and I'm with Urban Fast Forward.
And we are working with a company called ZoneCo, who is the actual code writers of the code. But in order to write a good zoning code, you want to be sure you've got good substantive public input about what citizens of the city want to see built in their future, in their city's future. So that's why it was important for the city to engage us to have a good community engagement effort. So we have a brief PowerPoint for you this evening. So we have, we just finished up 4 engagement sessions over the last few weeks. And, but before that, I think the next slide shows before that, right, we actually started a few months ago meeting with stakeholders in the city, city staff, some county staff, other stakeholders who know about the existing zoning code and some of the issues with it. And then we met with, like I said, we just finished up 4 sessions over a period of 4 different days and 2 weekends, meeting with the citizens from the city to talk about the city at large and each particular quadrant of the city, and then downtown. Everybody wanted to talk about downtown. And we have also put together a survey, which has been out for a while. The city put together a survey, and we just reissued a survey because the information that we get from the beginning to the end, we keep adding on the information to make a better survey. If you just start with something at the beginning and run with that the whole way, new information doesn't help inform. So we've found that it's better to start with information, gather more information, put that information out there to get information back. And ultimately our survey, which is out now and started today, I think.
Started today.
That's the newest version of the survey, started today, has embedded in it, all the information that we've gathered from stakeholders and citizens throughout the city.
Yep. And so what we brought to you this evening is takeaways that were gathered from these input sessions, the stakeholders, as well as the citizens that were engaged over the last 4 weeks, the 4 engagements. So with that, we'll take you through some of the big takeaways that we brought into the survey, which everyone can access. It was actually we sent out a QR code as well as a link on the city water bills. So that's one way that we were trying to make sure that everybody was able to access it. We also have a QR code and the link at the end of these slide presentations. So please give us your feedback. We're really interested to hear what you think of the other engagement that we have gotten. So here we have big community engagement takeaways for residential. A lot of concern over housing affordability and the availability of housing. It's made national news. Your senator is talking about, or Ohio senator is talking about it. But the development of vacant lots is also a big issue. We heard in the Southeast Quadrant, which was our first engagement session, that vacant lots, how do we get people to see these as developable sites again? And so through that, we have created in the survey opportunities for development. How do we lure development to these places, and how can zoning do that?
Housing was such an important thing. We heard that in all 4 quadrant sessions. It's really important to people to have housing which is affordable to a range of incomes. And so there are neighborhoods in Springfield that have small lots. So, but we can't have zoning that is too prescriptive, but we can allow small houses on small lots. And sometimes we can allow those lots to be combined to allow a larger house or a duplex or something like that. So we heard that pervasively.
And so one of the survey questions that we have built are, what is the interest in smaller lot development, and what is the interest in cottage court development? Community Gardens is an example of a housing development that took place in Springfield that is a cottage court. Smaller units allows for more accessibility, but also easier maintenance as you age. It's a senior living, or not senior living, but is geared towards seniors in Springfield, and is deemed generally by success by many of the people who showed up to these engagements, as well as the stakeholders we engaged. So in that survey, we're asking the general public, is that something you'd like to see in more neighborhoods? Because currently there's a very specific zone that allows for smaller scale housing like that.
Mixed use is something that people definitely want in places. There are certain areas of the city that we have heard really want to be walkable neighborhood business districts. There are a few of those key places. So we've asked people to identify those places where you want mixed-use development to occur, where maybe there's retail or restaurant on the first floor and apartments or condos or multifamily housing up above, that kind of thing. So people don't want that all over. They want it in very specific places.
Miscellaneous. One of the more interesting comments they were getting were composting, currently illegal in in zones outside of commercial, or in residential zones, currently only legal in commercial zones. That is in residential zones, currently legal in commercial zones. Very sorry for that. Why that's so fascinating, a lot of people compost. A lot of people want to compost. A lot of people want to do that on their land. And so is there an ability to wrap that into more residential zones? The same thing with livestock. Certain people want chickens, but we need to make sure that the regulations are enforced so that you can't have, a whole flock of chickens.
Yeah, we don't want farms in the city.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and we also realized and heard loud and clear that some of this stuff can lead to neighbor conflicts.
Yep.
And so we heard loud and clear that people don't necessarily want to go to a big hearing to have their issues resolved. They would like staff to be able to do that and maybe take reasonable steps to resolve some of those conflicts wherever possible. So. Downtown. Like I said, we had in the public engagement sessions, we split them into 4 because we were talking about 4 different quadrants of the city. But we had a map of the entire city, and in fact, we had a laptop where you could zoom into any property on the city. We had a map of the entire city in all of the 4 quadrant sessions, and we also had a map of downtown. And everybody wanted to talk about downtown. I mean, and unfortunately, this is a conversation about zoning. So some of this discussion was about zoning, but then a lot of this discussion wasn't about zoning. It was about beautiful buildings like that one through that window right there. And that State Theater, which, by the way, one of our sessions was in the State Theater, which was really enjoyable for me. So we have a lot of vacant properties and a lot of vacant land in downtown. And much of what we heard was, yes, we need to zone for a multitude of uses in downtown, office, residential, entertainment, all sorts of uses. But more than that, we heard outside zoning, we need to make some of that stuff happen. We need to build on some of the successes that have happened downtown, and we need to leverage those opportunities that we have so we don't lose more of our building stock here. We heard that loud and clear. Again, that's not really a zoning thing. That's a development and planning thing, but it was also one of those things that was very, very pervasive. We don't want to lose any more cool buildings downtown. We need more life and energy downtown. How do we get it?
So walking through, there we go, there's the map. So again, we did quadrant by quadrant. We started in June. June 29th was the first one, and we held it at the library, was it Southgate Branch Library?
It's one on Limestone.
One on Limestone.
Yeah.
And the attendees there were talking about a need for these things that we highlighted here. There was a memory of mixed-use development and smaller scale development that used to exist on Yellow Spring Street, South Yellow Spring Street. How do we bring that back? Part of the issue is that many of these businesses were grandfathered in with the zoning, and as zoning changed, smaller businesses, if they didn't fit that specific zoning, couldn't exist again, right? So if you had a bakery, if a flower shop wanted to move into that bakery, unfortunately, the zoning no longer allowed that. So when we look to do this rewrite in historic areas along neighborhood corridors like South Yellow Spring Street, how can you bring those small businesses, but how can you bring the zoning back so potentially the people who want to open those small businesses can do that? So that was one of the biggest takeaways from the Southeast. Again, that desire for smaller housing, cottage court, tiny homes, things like that kept coming up to our surprise. We weren't prepared to talk to people about it. So the next day, we made sure to bring materials to engage people on that.
And excuse me, just so everybody knows, a cottage court development they're also called garden communities. That's where you have a piece of property, and maybe it's a half an acre or an acre, and you put small houses around a courtyard, and they might have a communal parking lot for their parking, or they might have garages behind, but they all they all center around a courtyard of some sort. And it's a way to get multiple housing units that are still single-family houses that are usually very small, where a single person can live, or maybe a married couple or an aging adult, a senior citizen can live and live in a setting with other houses. So it's like cluster housing.
Again, that call for mixed-use, smaller-scale development, specifically along Harding Road. And so again, this makes us think about when we were developing the survey that we will bring you to at the end, how do we get larger community feedback? We did not get the numbers, but we did get amazing ideas like, how do we bring back mixed-use development? How do we bring back small-scale development? So this survey that we're asking the entire city to fill out to get as many voices behind these ideas as possible is to confirm that this isn't just a small group of people, this isn't just the stakeholders, it is the community-wide that is asking for this type of development that zoning would allow. People want to have parks and green space. Again, community gardens are currently only allowed in a very small section of zones. And so how do we open that up to residential zones, giving people the opportunity to do interesting things with vacant lots? One of the more, we had a man who was opening, I think it was this very interesting business that was taking over a pawn shop. And he was using a church's parking lot to solve for his the parking requirement that the zoning forced him to do. And so it brought up this great question of, could we have a more flexible contextual parking requirement, which would allow smaller businesses to deal with the cost of building parking? The city does have quite a few parking lots, especially downtown. And so if someone were to open a smaller businesses and in the zoning it said, well, you need this many spaces per, well, maybe there's a parking lot nearby that you could work with. Maybe there's a church. In his case, there was, that was able to solve that problem. So
in downtowns and neighborhood business districts, the parking issue is best resolved block by block, not lot by lot.
So bringing it down to the Southeast. This was the final one. Southeast is seeing a lot of greenfield development, and so the concerns from people who attended this particular meeting was about preservation of agriculture and green space. As single-family homes are developed, how do they make sure that they're being respectful of the land and that we're developing with respect to the agricultural character of Springfield? So,
And people want the old shopping center redeveloped at Sunset.
yep. So this brings us to, again, that online survey. The city has posted on their website, they have posted on their social media. We put this on all of the water bills that went out, and we started getting responses today. Within an hour, we got, I think, close to 25 people to sign up and to go through the survey. It's 10 questions. It takes 7 minutes in theory to finish. They're very focused questions, and our ask of everyone here tonight, we didn't realize how many people were going to be here, as well as you as commissioners, is to support some of these ideas. If you don't agree with what has been said tonight, but if you do agree with some of these things or you have different opinions, please voice them in the survey. This QR code, if you use your phone, you can scan to it. You can also go to the city's website and see that survey and use that survey and fill it out so that you can inform us as the consultants who will be working to develop this zoning code on the ideas that were shared this evening, the ideas that were developed through community engagement. So with that, that is our presentation.
Are there any comments or questions from Commissioner?
I do want to say thank you for the work that you've put into this. And there were actually some new ideas for the city that just popped in my head from your presentation tonight. So some of those things sound really cool. The playgrounds downtown, trying to keep people downtown while they're here. Also really excited to hear about that mixed use coming back to South Yellow Spring Street. Both my parents, they're 77 years old, and they talk about the time where Yellow Spring Street was huge and bustling with businesses. So I would love to see that happen. Thank you, guys.
Anyone else?
I'll just echo thank you for everything you've been doing. I found some interesting things in this presentation, especially little things like composting. So it'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out. So thank you again.
You're welcome.
Tracy?
I just wanted to say, I have a downtown business, and I remember 10 years ago how difficult it was to figure out parking because I'm right on the street, and it was a little bit of a challenge. So I'm glad we're looking at this. Did I miss that you had a goal of a deadline to gather all this information? Do we have a timeline?
ZoneCo, the folks who are actually writing the code, would like us to get done now. Because they're writing the code.
Of course.
So, but we also don't want to rush it because we really want people to give us the input.
Yep.
So we just got the newest version of the survey up today. So we want to leave it up for a few weeks to be sure that people get enough time. I think we'll sort of, if we see that the responses are dwindling down to 1 or 2 per day and then nothing per day, then we'll probably stop it. But what would you say, maybe 3 weeks?
That's normally what is done. There's about a month of asks. Typically when we release surveys, you'll see a huge spike on the first couple days. And what we're trying, again, why I've asked everybody here as well as the commission, if you can push this amongst your neighbors, if you can push this, like the awareness of this of this survey, we can get that arc of the initial feedback to last a little bit longer. So the more voices, the better. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. We appreciate it. Very interesting report. Keep up the good work. I find much in your comments tonight that certainly I support personally. Housing has been, and likely will continue to be a subject that we as a city need to deal with. And interestingly, the opposite poses here that strike us is everybody says we need houses, but when it comes time, people say, not in my neighborhood. And so I think it's a real issue of how do we engage people and address both the desire to keep some green space as well as the desire to build new housing, which we desperately need. But likewise, I agree, we need the green space. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that conundrum makes Springfield unique in no way whatsoever. Every city we work in, that's an issue, right? And zoning can only do so much. Zoning is at its core regulation. It says what you can and cannot build. It still takes a real estate developer or home builder to make something happen, and a client and a good architect, speaking on brand here, to make things happen and to get that mortgage loan, to get that bank lending. So development still has to happen after the zoning code is in place. But zoning code at least should be able to target where we want mixed-use development, where we want multifamily development, and where we want single-family or duplex development. That a zoning code can do. And so that's why we ask specific questions about where would you like mixed-use development, and point to a spot on a map. Point to the block or the intersection and say, we want it here. And you can do that on the survey. You can give us the addresses. Or you can always email us and tell us, this intersection here, there needs to be multifamily housing right here. That's the specificity that we can drill down to with a zoning code, and which will help inform real estate developers of the future. Here's where I can put it, and here's where I'm not going to put it.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Manager, next steps in this process.
Yeah, so I know we have another work session coming up soon to discuss the continued involvement and the engagement that's happening in the community. And then, as they stated, they'll turn over the results of that public engagement to ZoneCo, who will continue working with our staff to craft that code. And then we'll continue to have different work sessions throughout the fall into winter. And the goal is to have the new zoning code developed and completed by the end of this year.
Very good. Thank you all. Any other questions or comments from members of the commission? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mrs. Houston,
Yes.
Mrs. Tackett,
Yes.
Dr. Estrop.
Yes. Motion passes. We are adjourned. Public hearing scheduled for 6:55 will begin shortly, followed by our regular legislative meeting. public hearing scheduled for 6:55 will come to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mrs. Brown,
Here.
Mrs. Houston.
Here.
Mrs. Tackett.
Here.
Dr. Estrop.
Here.
Mr. Rue.
Has proper legal notice been given for this hearing?
Yes. Notice of a public hearing for the purpose of considering the proposed change in zoning for 1.22 acres located at 0 West North Street from CN2 Neighborhood Commercial District to CN1 Neighborhood Commercial District was published in the Springfield News Sun, a newspaper of general circulation within the city. Attached hereto is a true and correct copy of the legal notice published on June 20, 2024.
I move that the communication be ordered received, recorded in the minutes, and filed.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mrs. Houston,
Yes.
Mrs. Tackett,
Yes.
Dr. Estrop.
Yes. May we have the staff report, please?
Good evening. City of Springfield staff is requesting to rezone subject parcel highlighted in yellow along West North Street from CN2 UPOD to CN1 UPOD district. The parcel is currently vacant and was rezoned from a downtown medical district to a CN2 district back in 2020. The current zoning district CN2 does not allow for drive-through businesses, and the UPOD design overlay subclassification of hospital zone shown on the slide does not provide guidance on development of the currently vacant parcel. The proposed CN1 district allows for a drive-through business, and the proposed UPOD subclassification of transitional retail mixed will provide guidance in site development. The surrounding businesses to the west of parcel were built as drive-through businesses, and in future, if approached by their respective owners, would be recommended to conform to surrounding zoning of CN1. The Clark County Comprehensive Plan shows future character area as institutional campus. The proposed rezoning aligns with the future character of neighborhood and would support a drive-through business. West North Street is classified as 100-foot wide primary arterial public right-of-way, and North Yellow Spring Street is classified as 100-foot wide primary arterial public right-of-way by the Clark County Thoroughfare Plan. There are no records of city services, easements, or public alleys on the parcel, and it will be the responsibility of future owners or developers to locate any easements prior to construction. Return reports from city staff. City Manager's Office recommends approval, commenting that rezoning removes barriers in development of beneficial commercial real estate in downtown Springfield. City Planning and Zoning Division commented that the design requirements are mentioned in the staff memo requesting the rezoning. A drive-through restaurant or business is a permitted conditional use under the proposed CN1 district and will require Board of Zoning Appeals approval in future. Overall, staff recommendation is approval of the request to rezone the parcel from CN2 to CN1. The City Planning Board has recommended approval of the rezoning request as well. Thank you.
Are there any comments or questions from members of the commission? Well, I have one.
Of course you do.
Were there any objection filed between tonight and previous?
There were no objections till date.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from the audience? Would you please go to the mic, state your name and your address, and ask your question, please.
Mike Powell, 1401 East Home Road. On that right there, that property, I have a lot of friends that own property there. They had to sell it for the hospital. And then now they're going to talk about putting a drive-through in there. We don't need that around there. There's just one right down the road. There was one down on Yellow Springs and High Street. That didn't last after they bought it out from Carol and her husband. Used to be Diana's Pizza. There was a drive-through there. Got closed down. And then now they're wanting to put another drive-through up when people had to lose their homes for the hospital. for that empty lot to sit there? No, I don't agree to that.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak to this matter? Please go to the mic and identify yourself and give us your address.
East Ward Street. I kind of concur with.
I'm sorry, would you state your name and address? for
Gary
the record?
Armstrong, 109 East Ward Street.
Thank you.
I concur with what you said. Diana's is sitting there rotten like other properties around here. Is that property the property that where Rite Aid is?
Yes, it's to the
Was-
east of.
You know, my question is you either go out and then get in that little traffic pattern that blends in, or go south that way. But if they had access over to Plum Street, you'd have 3 or 4 different ways that enter and exit. That makes more sense engineering wise. But I kind of agree with he was.
Thank you. Anyone else? State your name and address, please.
Mark Smith, 4758 Board. Franchisee for Big B Coffee. We are the current owners of that property. And so as I would like, to say, as longtime members of Springfield or citizens of Springfield, we, certainly appreciate the history and unfortunate, some of the housing and the changes, obviously look forward to prosperity. Do want to ease any concerns that a drive-through is going to be, a coffee. Big B Coffees would be the intended use of that, so it wouldn't be a beer carry out or anything like that. We are talking with today and the city about entrances off of Yellow Spring Street. Obviously, very concerned about congestion, especially with other similar businesses having congestion issues. So, obviously, we want to be good pillars of the community. We're also talking with some of the leaders about gateway signage to embrace that part. So, happy to address any other concerns from the public, but I've got. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to speak to this matter? If not, is there a motion to adjourn the hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Mrs. Houston,
Yes.
Mrs. Tackett,
Yes.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Dr. Estrop.
Yes. I am now going to call the City Commission meeting of July 30th, 2024 to order. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Houston.
Here.
Mrs. Tackett.
Here.
Mrs. Brown.
Here.
Dr. Estrop.
Here.
Mr. Rue.
As I announced earlier, Mr. Rue is on a scheduled holiday, and so I will be chairing tonight's meeting. Would you please rise and join me in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance? Our Father above, guide us tonight as we make important decisions for the citizens of the city of Springfield. In your name, amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There a motion to
So moved.
Second.
seconded. Any comment? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Houston,
Yes.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mrs. Tackett,
Yes.
Dr. Estrop.
Yes. Before we get to comments from the audience tonight, and if you wish to speak on any matter, please fill out one of these white cards and give it to the clerk. You will then pass it on to me. But there's a couple things that we want to do. Well, frankly, there are many people here from the city, and also an announcement we want to make. But first, we want to recognize Jill Pierce. Jill is retiring from her work as city clerk here in Springfield. And at this point, I will defer to Commissioner Tackett, who will read an announcement.
For an impressive 35 years, Jill has been an integral part of the city of Springfield, making invaluable contributions to our community. Her journey began in an unexpected way. A simple ad for a secretarial position ignited a spark in Jill, leading her to pursue a civil service exam, a testament to her proactive and ambitious spirit. While the job didn't require civil service testing, Jill's determination and interview skills landed her a position in planning and development. Her dedication and talent quickly became apparent, leading to roles as executive secretary for the city manager and administrative assistant in IT. Ultimately, Jill found her true calling as city clerk in 2017. This was her dream job, a role she was truly born for, as evidenced by her birth during Secretary's Week in 1967 and her childhood passion for playing office. Her love for the smell of purple ditto paper, I need an explanation for that one, is a nostalgic touch that adds to her charming character. Beyond her professional accomplishments, Jill is a remarkable individual with a unique blend of skills and interests. As a high school student, she displayed an analytical mind by earning a varsity letter as a sports statistician. Her ability to manage numbers and details undoubtedly contributed to her success as city clerk. Now, as Jill embarks on her next chapter, we wish her all the best as she enjoys quality time with family and friends, explores new horizons through travel, and continues to flourish in her crafting business with her daughter. Jill, your dedication and hard work and positive spirit have been an inspiration to us all. Thank you for your exceptional service to the city of Springfield. We will miss you dearly, but are excited for this new chapter in your life. Congratulations on a well-deserved retirement.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me.
We have, if the commissioners would join me down here, and Jill, we have an award for you.
I have to say, this has been a fantastic place to work. So if you have an opportunity, look for the job openings and work for the city. It's a fantastic opportunity to serve people and just meet really, really great people. I didn't even know where City Hall was. So I figured it out and I'm here. So thank you so much.
Second thing I want to do before we get to the comments from the audience is ask Jill Allen to update us on a piece of legislation. Many of you know that I've been often critical of what goes on in Columbus as being not in the best interest of our community or, in my opinion, in the interest of the state. But I want to give them credit. And in this case, I think they did something right that will help us. So Jill, if you would give us an update on this newest legislation that has not only passed both houses, but been signed into law by the governor. Jill?
Sure. So there is new legislation that is about stunt vehicles, and it's called an anti-hooning legislation. That's just a funny word that means stunt vehicles. So this is new legislation. Instead of stunt vehicles just being tickets that can be issued, it actually means it's a first-degree misdemeanor. It also pertains to ATVs. If they're taking over the roadways, that's a first-degree misdemeanor. Spectators can now be issued tickets as well. And also, it can be a felony if you're fleeing or eluding after stunt vehicles. So this is new legislation. It goes into effect October 22nd.
Thank you, Jill. Appreciate it. Commission members have any questions of Jill? Thank you. It's just another tool in our toolbox to try to get a handle on some of the issues confronting our community. So now we'll move to comments from the audience. When you go to the mic, recall that you have 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name and address for the record and for people who may be watching on television.
Before
Starting-
we start
Yes.
that, Dr. E, I would like to encourage everyone to remain after the comment section because that's when the actual business is taking place. So just wanted to encourage you guys to remain here after the comments.
The first speaker, Mike Powell. Mike, you would go to that mic, and Corgi Mori, you're second. If you would go to that mic, please. State your name and address for the record, please, Mr. Powell.
Mike Powell, 1401 East Home Road.
Please begin.
All right, I've been trying to keep quiet about all this Haitian stuff going on here in Springfield. It's gotten completely out of hand. When it started affecting me and my family, that's when I've started getting very aggravated. I'm trying to buy a house because our landlord is selling it, and it's a $130,000 house 3 years ago. Now it's $200,000 because of all of the markup from all the Haitians. You can't rent a house, you can't buy a house because the prices has gone sky high. I heard a man right there just a little while ago saying that he can't afford to move. He needs to move, but he can't afford it. It's because of the Haitians. It's because of what?
I'm sorry. Let Mr. Powell speak.
To me, it's everyone there on this board, including Rob, who's at fault of this. Our ex-mayor is at fault of this. Not one person had a meeting and asked anyone in this community how we felt about them coming in here and invading our city, the city that we pay taxes on. Not one person cared about it. It has gotten out of hand, and someone needs to take control on it. Either you guys can step up and take control or get your asses out of here. Because whatever I got to do to make it to where you guys leave, I'm going to do it. If I got to go to every door here in town and get a petition to have you guys all removed, I'm going to do it. Because it's gotten out of control. Either you guys step up for us here that take and make payments here, who pay the taxes here. Either you take responsibility for your guys' mistakes or someone should.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Corgi Mori, please state your name and address.
Georgie Mori, I live in the Ridgewood subdivision of Fountain Harding. My comments are going to be directed to Mayor Rob Rue and to City Manager Brian Heck. But
I'm sorry, Corgi, could you get a little closer to the
my
mic?
comments were going to be directed to the mayor and to the city manager, but seeing that the mayor's not here, I'll direct my comments to the city manager. City Manager Brian Heck, I saw your shameless interview on Fox and Friends the other day. You know, the one where you thought that whipping up mass hysteria on a politically friendly national news outlet would help us get more money from the federal government. You know, City Manager Brian Heck, when you became our new city manager, I really believed that we were finally going to turn the corner on the old Springfield trope of playing the victim. So it came as a blow to my gut when I see you making up an inflated number of Haitian immigrants coming into our community and making them the scapegoat of this housing crisis, that they are completely overwhelming our city's infrastructure and safety forces. Since you seem to be so misinformed about our city, City Manager Brian Heck, let me tell you about the state of our housing and infrastructure. I can't walk 100 yards in any direction in our town without practically tripping over a brand new housing development, a newly paved asphalt road, a freshly dug water or gas line, or a newly raised utility pole. Is this what you are calling a crisis, City Manager Brian Heck? You want to go on national TV to tell all of America that our city's safety forces are overwhelmed. So I suppose you asked the police chief and the fire chief for the numbers. You know, the stats that show a sharp increase in Haitian immigrant-initiated crime in the city, about the flood of drugs that the Haitians have brought into our community, of the sprawling tent cities that are popping up all around town, of homeless Haitian immigrants. Of course, you don't need to ask because you and I know that none of that is happening. You could have gone on national TV to talk about the legally hardworking Haitian labor force working at places like Topre America and Gabe's and creating small businesses all over our city like Coin 509 or Rose Goutte Creole Restaurant. You know, the small businesses that we would normally call the backbone of our local economy. And where do you think all that money that they're making is going? Why don't you go and stand for 5 minutes in front of any of the checkout lines at any local big box grocery? That money is coming back in to support our local economy through the purchase of local goods, supporting the local workforce. And you want to sit there on Fox and Friends and throw our Haitian community under the bus. Shame on you, City Manager Brian Heck. There was a time not too long ago when we were a dying mid-sized city, when we were hemorrhaging our people and our jobs to other places. And here, the good Lord heard our prayers and brought us the gift of the Haitian immigrant community. How many Haitian immigrants need to come in before you stop othering the Haitian community? Or we stop calling them those illegals? Or we stop blaming them for all these fabricated problems and start calling them our community? Because the Haitian community is our community. The Haitian people are our people. Yo se voisin mwen, yo se zami mwen. Haïtien yo se famille mwen.
Corgi, excuse me, your 3 minutes is expired. At this mic, Roger Medoc and Serena Lawson.
I'm Serena. I stay here.
That's fine with me. Mr. Medoc, you don't mind going to that mic?
I am here today.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Lawson. Mr. Medoc is before you.
Okay, it's cool.
Thank you. Mr. Medoc, state your name and address, please.
Roger Medoc, 807 Southfield Avenue. Our mayor's on vacation and our city's in turmoil? Come on. You don't think it's in turmoil? Listen to these people. Come to Walmart and stay a day. Go to the bank and stay a day. Go to any place and stay one day, and you'll see what we see. Drive around our community. Mr. Heck, I sent you video of the homeless people living in the back of Lincoln School. I have the pictures here today. They're living in back of Lincoln School. I even showed you video of them. You could see the monkey bars. Nothing has to be done. Code enforcement won't come out. The police won't come out. Nobody. It's been, 2 weeks that I first reported it. Nothing's done. Come to East Street. Come to the back of Lincoln Park. All of you, come to the back of Lincoln School. Look at what I see. Look at the syringes. Look at all the trash in that little wooded area. It's a little wooded area. You mean tell me no one in that school can see that and doing anything about it? Even the police resource officer can see it. Nothing is done. Why don't you come to where we're at? Instead of sitting there and saying, we're doing this, we're doing that, come to the real life. Go to Walmart and watch those Haitians open up jars of the tomato paste, pizza sauce, dip their fingers in it and eat it. Go to Kroger's. You know how Kroger's has a little fruit up front for like $5? They pick it up and start eating it, then discard the thing. I've seen them do it. So I'm not here saying I know they're doing it. I've seen it. Go to Grocery Land. Watch every day those people get ripped off. They post it every day on the internet. How much meat the Haitians take and steal. They put it in baby carriage in front of the thing and walk out. They can't do nothing. They can't stop them. Nothing. The city is going to shit. And you guys thinking we're doing good.
Excuse me, sir.
There's Haitian population.
Excuse me. Please do not use inappropriate language when you're speaking.
Now we have Haitian prostitutes.
I beg your pardon, sir.
Now we have Haitian prostitutes. What diseases do they have? Are they going to go to the health department and that's going to go raising high? Car insurance. My car insurance got raised. I have a perfect driving record. I'm 64 years old, never had a speeding ticket, never been in an automobile accident. But my car insurance goes up. So I called Nationwide, which is my car insurance and my homeowner's insurance. You know what they said? because the accident rate in Springfield has tripled.
Oh, God.
And listen to the police monitor. Listen, every day, these officers get called out to Haitians that no one can speak their language, and they get out and run. In accidents, brand new cars, they drive 2019 and above cars, but they wreck them, then they take off and run.
Thank you, Mr. Maddock. Your time is up. Serena
My time,
Lawson,
okay.
and over here, Darla Saunders. Serena?
Okay,
Name
I'm-
and address, please.
Okay, my name is Serena, and I live at 1975 Norwood, of course, Springfield, Ohio. And you know what? I wanted to comment on everything, but I better stick with what I have here. But on June the 26th, 24, we have a problem. It's been a problem for years. Now, I had 2 detectives and 2 the chief of police. I've been trying to call her for 2 weeks. Never got no response back to her, because when something happened, then there's a problem, okay? Now, my granddaughter, everybody know here, those you know, Tiffany Higgins got shot and got killed. Supposed to be by her son. I don't know if that's true or not, but somehow they haven't found that out yet. But we know the woman's dead. But the 2 detectives come to my house. I seen them on my camera. I'll open the door before they get to ring my doorbell. And they says, we want to talk to your granddaughter. I said, for what? What happened? They raise up their little hands and say, oh, she's not in no trouble. Why are you on the porch? We want to talk to her about the murder of Tiffany Higgins. She wasn't there. She didn't kill Tiffany. What do you want? Well, there was a conversation over the phone. I said, I'm sure you wouldn't tell me what the conversation was. Oh, no, we can't tell you what the conversation is, but we need to talk to her. And you're being disrespectful to me. I said, you've been disrespectful to me. You on my porch. I'm a taxpayer. You come to me. He said, well, don't you remember that I came to your house once before? And I said, for what? He said, for the murder of your sister. I said, did you saw my sister's murder? He said, no. I said, then, well, you need to leave here. So he left his little card, Detective Jordan, and left me a card. He goes home, on his way home, called me at 6 o'clock, excuse my French. He says, I'm not bullshitting you. I need to talk to your granddaughter. I need to talk to her. This is very important. Before I go on vacation, I let him do all his wolf tickets. My son listening. I got it on voicemail. And I said, well, you have a nice day and have a nice vacation. Now, meanwhile, they go to Wittenberg and pull another minor girl from Wittenberg, take her from Wittenberg, take her downtown, handcuffs her, take her phone, and telling her we need to investigate the murder of Tiffany Higgins. Now, I need for y'all to tell me, all of y'all that's on this panel here, I don't know if you know the law, but is it true that you're not supposed to take a minor without the adults? Huh? Is that true? Nobody's saying nothing. Is that true? You're supposed to have adult with the kids while they taking them downtown, and they harassed this girl, got her all upset and got her mad. I filed a complaint against here with y'all. With my time is up.
Yes, ma'am.
With the situation, and nothing still is done. And I still yet have not to talk to the chief of police.
I'm sure the chief will be happy to
No,
talk to
she
you
won't, 'cause she
tonight.
ain't called me.
Chief, would you raise your hand, please?
I know who she is.
Thank you. She will be happy to talk to you after the meeting.
This is a shame. You are terrorizing our kids. And you're killing us too on top of it.
Darla Sanders and
Saunders.
then over Saunders.
I'm sorry, Dr.
Sorry.
Estrip. Excuse me,
And-
Dr. Estrip. I'd like to
Yeah.
respond to Ms. Serena. I definitely understand what you're going through, especially surrounding. I'm sitting here looking at Autumn Truss here, who had a very horrific incident that was tied to that murder that included her son. And that's my nephew. So I've been working with the chief of police to bring up better understanding and trying to understand it, because I felt the same way with the same rage and the same anger that you have right now
Yes.
when the incident with my nephew
Who's your nephew?
happened. I don't think, I'll leave that to Autumn if she would like to
Okay,
share that
okay.
out. But it was a very horrific incident that involved the Springfield City Police. But I will say that Chief Elliott has worked with me, and I really want to continue to work with Chief Elliott to ensure that we have some type of policy in place that whenever the police are interacting with a minor, thank you, whoever said that, with a minor, that a parent is notified, because the incident that occurred, I'm sitting here watching her in tears, and I'm trying to hold them back myself, was very disturbing
No
to me.
disrespectful to
I'm
you.
sorry. This is not a debate. Thank you
No,
very much.
I just wanted to respond to let you know that we are working together to create a policy that whenever a minor is involved with the police, especially if guns are drawn, if handcuffs are being put out, that you must contact a guardian. Exactly.
And my granddaughter's still going for counseling, but she's scared they're going to kill her.
Absolutely. I definitely understand that. Neither did my nephew.
Now they want me to talk to.
Right, and we can definitely, I can help facilitate setting up something, because that really, that's my nephew.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just a minute, Darla, before you start. Bruce Clay is up next at this mic. Oh, you want to go follow her? That's fine, Bruce. Please state your name and address for the record, Darla.
Darla Saunders, 533 Old Columbus Road. Good evening, and related to time, I'm just going to hit some highlights. Last meeting, you tried to take away someone's flag. This is Taru. Growing up, my dad told me, sis, don't ever go after someone else's flag just because you don't agree with it. One day they'll do the same to you and come after yours. No one owns anyone else's words, and you don't have to step in to save anyone from someone else's speech. And I'd ask that we not do that anymore. Mrs. Brown, I do give a shit about the city's business. The response to your hot mic moment. Someone said it best when Chris Cook's presentation was lipstick on a pig. Without even deep dive, I have to agree. He made the community believe that a doctor, CPA, interpreter walked across our border, and they did not. We are not concerned about legal immigration. He said that the TSP status protected people from being deported. That's not true. They have to show themselves as law-abiding. That information made me take pause. I'm going to show grace here and say that there has been a gross misinterpretation of the law here in Springfield, saying that the TSP prevents deportation gives them and you an idea that there are no repercussions to crime more than just felonies. Then he said that they are not illegal. Many are illegal, but because their crimes are not reported, no jails, the court system, etc., we do not know how many are legal and how many are illegal. He gave 4 cities seeing an influx, and that was to make us all feel normal. 3 of the 4 that he mentioned seeing an influx were sanctuary cities. We ask for transparency from the council and our mayor, and to stop twisting the truth and gaslighting the community. I know a family who recently had 2 totally unrelated encounters within 10 days. And in both instances, they were told that pressing charges would go nowhere because of because in both cases, the men had no ID and gave no names. 2 men assaulted her at Walmart on Tuttle, and she was told that she could press charges, but then they would have her address on the police report, so she didn't. And then 7 men ran from a police sleeping in a church storage building nearby. So there are 7 undocumented men running freely that we have no idea. Our county needs to stop having a pissing match and act like adults and do something about our jails. My questions are, DeWine said that he would support Springfield. What does that look like? Is the FBI investigations ongoing for human trafficking? And would a member from council please explain their process on how they decide to vote?
Thank you, Darla. Your time is up. Mr. Manager, you wish to respond to any of the questions at this point, or?
I can just state on the FBI investigation, yes, that is ongoing.
Okay. And then did Wine give you what he's going to help
We
with?
have another meeting with DeWine and his staff coming up in the next 2 weeks, so
Okay.
hopefully.
Okay. And then could someone on council just kind of tell me what the process behind the scenes thing looks like before you vote?
Sure, we are sent out notifications of all the things that are slated to be a part of. We also individually serve on different boards that all come together for the agenda. And then we also have executive meetings that are held in the back, but we also can ask all the questions that we need to ask to the person who is responsible for whatever that ordinance is. So we have that time, we receive it the week before. So we have that time to be able to review and ask all the questions and go over anything that we may need answered for those things before we vote.
All right, thank you.
And to add, if you look at the website, Friday afternoons, if you actually click through the agenda, you can see everything that's submitted, not just what's on this sheet. So there's a ton of information online. Personally, I read through all of it.
That's the Friday after meeting or
Before.
Before.
Yep.
The Friday before the meeting, it's published and out on our website, and it has all the ordinances, like when they read the item numbers, it'll have all the attachments associated with that. You can read through the ordinances and any additional attachments that go with that item.
Bruce, before you start, Mary Adkins, where are you, Mary? Do you want to go to that, make your way to that mic? Bruce, if you would state your name and address for the record, please.
Bruce Clay, 712 Catherine Street, Springfield. 2 weeks ago, 10 small businesses were broke into. Ours was one. Haven't heard anything, any updates, or what's going on, any changes. We cannot afford this type of thing going on. We can't absorb this. Small businesses can't stay in this town like this. We just can't do it. And the other thing is, our city officials voted us to be a welcoming center in 2014. They saw the foresight of what was coming, but they didn't prepare for it. But who's making money off of this? Who's making money renting to the Haitians, buying real estate and renting to the Haitians, and are they getting the exorbitant money that's going out? And then who signed a contract with the city to haul the Haitians from Love's truck stop here? You see all these vans and everything. Who's getting some of this money? I mean, they sold us out. We sold the taxpayers out. Now we got the influx, no housing, no nothing else. They were dropping them off at Southern Village and down here to Marriott, but they probably was a problem sitting in the foyer of Marriott and downtown, an eyesore. So they got them coming into Love's truck stop, and then they're busting them in here. We didn't vote for this. You guys voted us for this. And now we're seeing the repercussions of it. I noticed we got a pretty park, $1 million park down here. Lady of the Trail. We got new concrete out here. I don't see any squatters, tent cities, or anything here, but we got them in our neighborhoods. Shouldn't we share? Are we all not in this together? Are we all not in this together? I mean, come on now. I mean, it's ridiculous. I've lived here all my life. I had a business for 14 years. My wife's got a business. I worked for a company for 42 years and retired. I mean, come on. People are actually wanting to leave. You don't have drug deals going down your streets, do you? Are any of these properties being bought in gated communities or in your neighborhoods? And are you putting these immigrants in your neighborhoods? I'm seriously.
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah. I live in the east end of town, and I work for Springfield City Schools. I've served Lincoln Elementary for the past 12 years.
Yep.
I grew up on Johnson Avenue, right off Limestone. My aunt lives on Tibbetts. My other aunt lives on Georgia. I am in the same streets as y'all every single
I don't mind
day.
them coming here the right way. But I'm saying you've got drug deals. The drugs are rampant in this town. It's ridiculous. You've got prostitutes walking all over the place. I don't see them running around down here, though. Can we get the same coverage in our neighborhoods as you're getting down here?
Thank you, Bruce. Your time is up. To answer some of your questions, the investigation that we've talked with the state and the feds about in fact, is designed to ultimately answer some of the questions you raised. I think we need to make it very clear once again. The city is not getting any money for people who move into our community. We are not going to set up roadblocks to screen every car or truck that comes into this city like we did with Checkpoint Charlie in Berlin. That's not going to happen. It's an incredible waste of personnel.
We're talking about.
I'm sorry, your time is up, sir.
We're talking
Thank
about
you.
crimes. And
Please sit down.
Dr. E, could I?
Guys, can we please remain respectful?
Mary Adkins.
Please. Right. It does.
I'm sorry, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
I'm sorry,
Excuse me, sir.
No,
Sir.
you have interrupted me. You have interrupted speakers and others. So I'm going to give you a warning. At the next outburst, you will be asked to leave.
I don't care what you're going to give me.
Thank you. Would you escort him out, please?
Guys, I really want everybody to be heard. I know that we have different opinions about so many things, but I really, truly want everybody to be heard. And so if we can maintain a level of respect from both sides, that would be awesome.
Thank you. Would you escort that gentleman out?
Y'all have voted out
Please, at this point.
every last one of you. Because every one of y'all is bullshit.
Thank you.
Dr. E?
Mary Adkins.
Yeah,
Sure.
could I just address the last speaker, if you don't mind, briefly? Last week, last meeting, we got some information regarding Welcome America and Springfield becoming a welcoming city back in 2014, as some of you may have remembered. What'd you say? Yes, 10 years ago. Yep, completely different commission 10 years ago, but we got the information last week, so I did spend some time looking into it. If you actually go to Welcome or Welcoming America's website, there's nothing about the city of Springfield on it. So just to reiterate, we may have passed a resolution 10 years ago, but if you actually go to their website, Dayton is a welcoming city, Cuyahoga County is a welcoming county, but Springfield and Clark County are not, and we're not working towards becoming a welcoming city. We're not. You can go to their website.
Thank you.
And we're not a sanctuary city.
Okay, thank you. Terry Adkins, where is Terry? Terry, if you would go to that mic, please. Mary, if you would state your name and address for the record.
Sure. I'm Mary Adkins, 2721 Selma Road. I am a product of immigrant families coming to Springfield, so I understand how that works. But I've lived here my whole life, and I hate what I'm seeing in Springfield. Some of the things that are going on, we've heard a lot of rumors about a lot of things, okay? One thing, I was embarrassed. We have a livery service. We bring in sometimes really high-end clients from the Springfield airport into town. And the Springfield, the pretty brick and all that as you come in on 72 is wonderful. And then it goes downhill. And I was embarrassed to bring some of the people through that we've brought through just because of the area between that and getting to the Marriott. We heard a lot of rumors about what happened with Kroger's and Menard, supposed to be building on the south end of town on 72. What actually happened with that? What's the truth behind why they stopped those projects? I would like to know that. There are 2 hotels on Leffel Lane that have been purchased by an LLC out of Hilliard. I heard rumors that it was going to become condos, that they were going to redo those hotels and become condos for the Haitians. That's a rumor I heard. I want the truth because we don't have enough hotels. As I said, we have a livery service. Pilots come in on private jets. We're taking them to Dayton, Fairborn, Xenia. Money is leaving Springfield because there are no available hotel rooms. And you go to Red Roof and there's they're housing the homeless there. And there's syringes all over. And that's what our city's being presented to people. And because of that, our economy's being destroyed. Things are leaving Springfield because there's nothing here to support it. I've seen more houses in our neighborhood being up for sale. I've lived in my house since 1991. I've seen 1 or 2 houses. There's 5 now for sale within half a mile of my place. People are leaving because they don't like what's happening in the city. I want to know what happened to the whole thing with the Villager Inn. It was supposed to be for the homeless shelter. I know there was a fire there, then they tore it down. Now there's a firehouse going there. Now the Selma Road firehouse, that was perfectly fine as a building, has been turned over as a Haitian community center. Why isn't it being used for a homeless shelter? They sold it. That's what I was told. That was what an article that we said. That's what I'm saying. Rumors. I want to know the truth because that's what's going around and that's what I've heard. If that's not true, let me know. And then what's happening with the Executive Inn also as the homeless shelter. And that's what I have tonight.
Thank you, Mary. Mary, I can answer some of the questions that you've raised, and I believe City Manager Heck can. I can speak to Kroger. Kroger at some point chose not to build the new store south of 72, and in fact closed 2 additional stores here in Springfield. One on Home Road and Limestone, and one on South Lime.
Right.
Because our city, from their point of view, was shrinking, and the stores were no longer profitable, is what they informed us of. So they not only did not build a new one, they closed 2 of the current Kroger stores. So that's the reality of it. The fire station that we sold last week is not being used as a Haitian center. It's being used as a storage facility for people in real estate who want to stage furniture in a house that they're selling. You might give us a little more information about that.
Yeah, a local business owner, Hen and Chicks, that does real estate staging for companies purchase the property, and it's going to be part of their operation for, again, staging homes and so.
Again, why was it sold? Why wasn't it used for a useful purpose when the building was there? There's housing there. There's multiple places for showers, a kitchen, community center. That would have all been in the firehouse, right? So why couldn't it have been converted to a homeless shelter?
We're not converting it to a homeless shelter.
I know you're not. Why wasn't it, is my question.
I see. All right.
Why
Thank you
did they
very
not
much.
use that property in that manner?
Thank you. Terry Adkins, Terry's here. Diana Daniels, where are you, Diana? If you would get ready over here. Thank you. Terry, state your name and address, please.
Terry Adkins, 2721 Thelma Road. I was born and raised here in Springfield. I've lived here all my life. The things that are going on here are nothing but appalling now. The city is a powder keg, as you can see from tonight. The influx of our new neighbors, as we'll call them, along with the action or lack of by the city leaders, is allowing the destruction of this once great city. I'm very concerned about the school system. The powers to be have kept quiet about the young pregnant girl that was being trafficked and was sent to Graham High School to get away from here. I have grandkids in the city school system. How safe are they? Now, Mr. Heck, part of that thing that you mentioned about the investigation might cover that, but again, we're not being informed of anything about what's going on in the school. And, I've got grandkids there, and that really concerns me about what's going on. So.
What school do your grandkids go to, sir?
One starts north, north, my age. One starts Springfield as a freshman, the other one's in the 8th grade.
Okay, all right. I'll be more than willing to talk to you about school safety if you have time.
Well, okay. It says, why are the non-licensed and non-insured drivers allowed to keep driving and walk away or drive away after the traffic stops or the many accidents that are having? Why aren't their vehicles towed and impounded for not having proper insurance and proper license? They watch them drive away. I don't care if they can't speak English. They've got 2 feet. They can walk. You know, I mean, that's just, again, unsafe for that to happen. And it's repeatedly happening on a daily basis. Springfield has been put on the radar with Mr. Vance, and I guess I found out today Elon Musk has even mentioned it on X. With the recent events at Fuyao in Dayton, you can imagine what some of the people are looking at, and why wouldn't they come here to investigate? Because we basically have a lot of the same things that we're hearing in the public about how things are going on. You know, and a lot of the things I've been hearing is when they do come across some of our new neighbors that are running away, they're voicing, we own this city. They don't own this city. You know, and it's going to get very, very serious. And I'll just leave it at that.
What do you mean when you say it's going to get very serious?
Well, look what you've got tonight. First thing you said was, I couldn't believe we had this many people here.
I didn't say that.
You've had somebody escorted out. The gentleman that sat right down there in the gray suit commented.
Okay, got you.
Okay. You had a gentleman escorted out. You're getting a lot of comments from everybody in here. Most of them out here have been fairly negative for one thing or another. So, you know, we teach concealed carry. That's one of the business we use.
Oh,
so
okay.
One of the things that we have to try to, you know, tell people is you can't let your temper override what you can legally do and not do.
Thank you,
And we
Terry.
get this a lot.
He's just
Thank
answering
you.
my question. Thank
Okay.
you. I appreciate you, sir.
Okay, Diana Daniels here and Eric Klein. Eric, where are you? Okay. Does Mr. Klein still wish to speak? Does Mr. Klein still Oh, he's back. Okay. Well, Mr. Klein, if you would go to this mic, Diana Daniels, please state your name and address for the record.
Diana Daniels, 40 Hedgley Road, Springfield, Ohio. I hate to have to revisit this subject over and over again, but I'm going to do it anyway. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of our grievances. That's what we're doing right now. Our freedom of speech does not end where your feelings begin or anyone else's, nor where your opinion or your ideology begin either. We are all before you exercising our freedom of speech, however much you may disagree with what is being expressed. These are our real stories, our real lived experience, which may or not coincide with what you are experiencing yourselves. That doesn't make it any less real. It is getting tiresome to have our real experiences trivialized through repeated gaslighting by members of this board directly or indirectly through the use of biased media. Most of us, our experiences are trivialized, or we are countered with denial of our experiences, or you have to show proof. We don't need proof. It's our experience. Thank you very much. When our experiences are hard to face by you, a tactic is employed which is common to gaslighting, which is diversion, and our experiences or our expression of them are known as being racist. Mark and I spend endless hours driving these streets trying to find places where the Haitians are being abused. And it's happening over and over and over again. From Wyoming to Arizona, from California to Connecticut, from Vermont to Florida, and every state in between, we are being talked about. We are the talk of Twitter. We are the talk of locals. And it's not good. These individuals that are contacting us are looking and wanting the same answers that we've been asking. How did we get a target on our back? We started out with 0 and now we have 20,000. Really? How did that happen? Who's responsible? They're looking at human trafficking. They're looking at child slavery. They're looking at prostitution. Now that's other people. That's people around the country. Because I've given them the same information I gave you. And if you don't reach the answers before
people in the country find it, you're going to have egg on your face. So I suggest you get with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Diana, can you stay after and talk to me after, as we need to continue that
You
meetup?
betcha what we do, honey. I'm on it. I will stay after. Thank you very, and you know what? I got your back, and I know you have ours. It is hard. I get it.
Eric Klein here, and I think it's Karen Manning. Is it Manning? Please, at this one. Mr. Klein, I don't have your address, so would you state your name and address for the record, please?
I've left it off on purpose, but I'll tell you what it is. I don't live in town, but I'm concerned with what's going on because it's spreading throughout the county. I'm Eric Klein, about on Folk Green Road, 3454 on Folk Green, out in Springfield here. I really don't have a whole lot to say after all this. Y'all doing enough. I guess on a personal note from me is something that's coming. I got a call from my father a night ago. Said he had a problem. So what's going on, Dad? He says they canceled my insurance. There's so many crashes and this area I live at, they're just dropping insurance for the elderly. And apparently there's something with his house too coming up. This also includes AARP for the seniors, and I'll be in a phone call there too. So, future reference, we got to figure something out, y'all. It's going to affect the seniors. And somebody made comments about the insurances. You're right. I'm seeing it in my own family, I guess. I'm going to help him where I can. And it's sad. He's by himself now. Mom passed away 2 years ago. Things happen, but you need to help out the seniors for sure. You got to figure something out, boys.
Thank you. Linda Bailey, and over here, Thomas Donnelly, the fourth. Oh, I'm sorry. Got my cards mixed up. Sorry, Karen, I misspoke. My apologies. Karen, and then Linda Bailey. Linda, are you here? Okay, then you can follow Karen at that mic. Thank you.
I'm not going to waste my breath reiterating the same words that we've been, up here saying for months. We're beating a dead horse, apparently. I'm going to use the word concern here. That's CONCERN, and it means to worry or be anxious. And you can Google that. When audience comments were over last meeting, most of us left. We had the agenda. We knew the topics. And we know the votes you're going to cast. It's all going to be yes as usual. During the break, Crystal forgot to turn her mic off and announced to the entire city that we don't give a shit. With that statement, Crystal single-handedly proved that this is how the citizens of this city are talked about between yourselves. This is where our concerns and fears get us in your eyes. Thanks, Crystal. Thanks for that. So I'm going to ask you, before I'm done with this joke, who the hell don't give a shit again?
I beg your pardon. Thank you. Thank you.
Guys, please. I did, and my mic is never off. They stay on. And I was very disappointed to see the vacation of this room after the comments. That's why I asked this week if everybody could please stay. So thank you.
All right. Please come to order.
Okay, my apologies.
Please
So
come
thank
to
you.
order. Crystal, please.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
We definitely, if that happens again, we'll have somebody coming around to make sure that people can get back in. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Glenda, and then at this mic, Thomas Donnelly. Mr. Donnelly, you wouldn't mind going to that mic, please? Glenda?
Yeah, before I start, I just want to address Bridget.
it doesn't have to be written down anywhere to be a sanctuary city. We've been a de facto sanctuary city for at least 6-7 years. So I just want to get that out.
Well, no, literally like a sanctuary city of like, if there's a crime, reporting that to the FBI or ICE, like a sanctuary city not doing that, we are not in that category.
Right, but like I said,
I would encourage you to reach out to the sheriff's department. We're not in that category.
But but de facto.
I'm sorry, let's come to order. This is
facto
not a
means not
debate
official.
between members of the audience and the commission. I beg your pardon. This is an opportunity for people in the community to speak. And at this point, Glenda has the floor. So please start, Glenda. The time is yours.
Haitians will soon be the majority population in Springfield. Nowhere on the planet is it acceptable for another culture to create a majority population by replacing the native population. Should Israel be forced to accept a new majority population of Africans? Should Japan be forced to accept a new majority population of Muslims? Should China be forced to accept a new majority population of Brazilians? Leftists would be throwing screaming fits if this were the case. Only white populations are expected to accept and welcome foreigners of a different culture to overtake them as the majority populations of cities like London, Stockholm, Paris, Rome, and American cities like Springfield. None of us got to vote for Haitians to become the majority population, but plenty are profiting from it. We are the victims of First Diversity, St. Vincent, St. Bernard, St. Raphael, Rocking Horse, Dole, Carl Ruby, Casey Rollins, and others while footing all their bills. Leftists hijacked our city's housing stock, welfare office, hospitals, health department, courts, jails, roadways, and schools. We didn't cause Haiti to descend into chaos, but Haitians are causing our city to descend into chaos. Haitians are occupiers in Springfield, and us tax-paying citizens have become their economic slaves. They are no less occupiers than China is to Tibetans, except that Haitians are occupying our land with the backing of our own government. The city of Springfield, with the backing of the United States government, has turned against its own citizens. What will happen when Haitians become the majority in Springfield? Will businesses want to invest here? Will Americans want to buy homes here? The answer is no. When it becomes official that Springfield is a majority Haitian city, no one except Haitians will want to make Springfield their home. The exodus of people out of Springfield has already begun, and it will not reverse course. Temporary protected status may one day be revoked. And like a swarm of locusts in a cornfield, the city will be left devastated and destitute when Haitians are forced back to their homeland. There will be a glut of unoccupied homes that have been turned into flop houses, similar to how the Frank Lloyd Wright House was before a nonprofit spent money to revitalize it. Except there will be no one coming to the aid of Springfield if and when the Haitian occupation of Springfield ends. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenda. Thomas Donnelly, in just a second, Thomas. Bill, I'm having trouble reading your last name, Bill. You reside at 1323 Broadway. Thank you. Bill, if you would go to that podium, please. Thomas, it's all
Yes,
yours.
sir. My name's Thomas Donnelly, the fourth. I live at 2148 South Clifton Avenue. I've called the dog warden. I've called the city police. The dog warden tells me that it's not their problem. It's the city police. It's a city ordinance. I think it's 5303 or something like that about noise. Now, these dogs bark all night long, and they're right outside my window, keeping me awake at 2146 South Clifton Avenue. I've called the cops. I've not seen one cop over there yet. And it's getting to be too much. They tell me I can't shoot the dogs.
Please no.
That's the only way that I can shut them up. I got a pellet rifle. And the cop told me if you do, I'll get arrested and go to jail. Well, now, then it's their responsibility to do something about it. Because I can't sleep when I got dogs barking in my ears all night long, howling, carrying on. There's like 7 full-grown German Shepherds over there, 2 pit bulls. And I know they've got shelter and all that, but that don't shut them up. I need something done. If the cops aren't going to do it, the dog warden won't, I will. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Donnelly. Brian, is there someone that Mr. Donnelly can talk with about his concern?
I'll just have Chief Elliott
Chief
back there,
Elliott?
talk
All
with
right.
him after the
Thank
meeting.
you. All right. At this mic, Mark Sanders. Mark and Bill, you're up.
Oh, thank you. Hey, I just wanted to address a concern that's come up a few times. People here have raised concerns, and I've become a member of a Facebook group that talks about these concerns, connected with the tremendous influx of migrants into Springfield, Ohio. We went from a city of like around 57,000. We're now a little over 25% Haitian in about 2 or 3 years. I've heard people from that bench insinuate that our concerns are rooted in some kind of racial animosity. I've heard that Springfield News Sun has written similar stories. The NAACP was to have a struggle session to help people deal with, white people deal with their racial problems. But the whole time I've been here, coming to these meetings for the last couple of months, I hear concerns about public housing, the availability of housing, affordable housing, people getting kicked out of their homes because their landlords are raising their rent to accommodate migrants whose income is subsidized federally. I've heard people express concerns about personal safety, women who are afraid to walk in stores, women stalked out into parking lots with their children by groups of individuals staring at them and taking pictures of them, women afraid to go to the gym. We've heard about needles in playgrounds and in vacant lots, people sleeping in bushes all over town. But not once have I heard people complain about race. And I wish you guys would stop pushing this through the filter of identity politics, because it's allowing you to ignore our real concern. And that's what you've been doing. You've been ignoring us and mocking us this whole time. Do you all, can I ask each of you, do you think our concerns, Ms. Southern, do you think our concerns are primarily racially motivated racial antipathy, or do you think there are real concerns about safety and housing? And, and public, and the delay, the city budget being destroyed. You've admitted the fire department, they're running out of money to make calls. The city police, response time, if they bother at all, it's an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours. But Ms. Southern, do you think our concerns are entirely racially motivated?
Sorry, who did you say?
What is your name?
Houston.
Houston, sorry.
Okay.
Do you think our concerns are primarily racially motivated?
Do you want my honest opinion?
Yes.
I don't think they are entirely racially motivated.
But do you think they're a real concern?
I'm getting there.
Thank you.
I can say that I think a lot of people in Springfield share concerns about a growing population. I would be lying if I tell you that this doesn't keep me up at night thinking about how to solve this problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure I can speak with almost everyone that's up here.
Well, I'd like to teach you, Ms. Brown.
But can I finish?
Sure.
Since you asked me my honest opinion,
Mm-hmm.
where I think that we may be able to find more common ground is working towards a solution that the city commission legally can do. Like, we can't legally stop people from coming here.
You can stop inviting them here. The welcoming city thing is like a magnet for them. It's telling them we will do everything we can to accommodate this flow of migrants.
We can't impact temporary protected status. We're not administering benefits through job and family services. So no, I don't think everything is racially motivated, and I share some of your concerns, but I think there's a more productive way to work through this.
Thank you. Why aren't you doing it then? Thank you. Ms. Brown? I'm sorry,
You
Bill,
can-
your time is up.
I
Thank you.
thought you'd say that. Thank you, sir.
Mark, before you start on this side, Beth Donahue. Beth, you would go to that mic, please. Mark, name and address for the record.
Yes, Mark Sanders, 2254 Snyder Domer Road, Springfield, Ohio. So, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. First of all, Bridget, I'd like to talk to you about the whole 2014 resolution. I have more information that might clarify some things.
Yeah,
for you.
I'd be interested if you
So-
want to stay after the meeting.
Yeah. So, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. Last week, I was expecting a lot more out of the gentleman that spoke on behalf of the Clark County Health Department. I was looking for some facts. What we got was kind of hyperbole. It was his opinion or his observation. So, and to defend them, the next day I called them and asked them for the data for communicable disease from 2019 to 2024. They very, very quickly provided it. And I have a daughter and a wife that's in medicine. So our first responders, both police and fire, our healthcare workers in the hospital, they're subjected to a lot of unknowns every day. And that bothers me because they roll up on an accident, they have a patient come in the hospital, or they're at a crime scene, there's blood, everything else. They don't know that person, they don't know their habits, they don't know anything else. So I summarized just three things from the information I got, and if anybody wants a copy, that's more than happy to furnish it. But 3 conditions. Springfield is on an upward ramp, and very accelerated upward ramp. HIV. So in 2019, there were 7 cases in the county. 2020, there were 5, going the right direction. 2021, there was 12. 2022, 15. Last year, 47. This year, we're on par to be at 68. So simple math tells us that from 2019 to 2023, we're at a 571% increase. If you use the theoretical number for 2024, it's 871% increase. Second is TB. 2019, and again, I was a little bit concerned because his data was like 3 years old. I was able to get current data within minutes. So anyway, TB 2019, 1 case. 2022 cases. 2021, 3. 2022, 2. 2023, 6. So simple math on that shows us to be at a 500% increase since 2019. So again, facts and data are colorblind. There is no race, no gender, no nothing. It's just facts and data. These are the people going into stores, schools, churches, gas stations, and everything else. That's something you guys need to be concerned about too. So my time's up.
Thank you, Mark.
Mark, may I have a copy? May I have a copy?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And also, Mark, if you could, I do want to remind you, if I wanted to talk to you really briefly, Mr. Armstrong, could you stay after for just a few minutes to talk to you, a couple minutes? Thank you.
We have Beth Donahue here and Megan Reyes. Megan, are you still here? Oh, there she is. Okay. You're up next. Beth, name and address for the record, please.
Okay, Beth Donahue, 220 Montgomery Avenue. I'm Beth Donahue, the Executive Director of Springfield Domestic Violence Coalition. I will be here for every commission meeting speaking about the rise in domestic violence in my community here. And I refuse to be intimidated by the Clark County prosecutor, the NAACP, and the Clark County Sheriff's Department. The number of incoming domestic violence cases via Domestic Relations Division Court, 376 in 2003, 1,400 in 2023. The 1,400 cases were the highest in the history of Clark County. And Clark County will far exceed the 1,400 cases in 2024. Compared to the other 87 Ohio counties, based on per capita caseload, Clark County is 4 standard deviations above the mean. That is not a good thing. I'm not talking about criminal cases before a judge. I'm pointing out cases which are petitions for civil domestic violence protection orders. The court dismissal rate for protection orders, 15.9% in 2003, 70.6% in 2022. Another fact, in 2022, 91% of women that received a protection order, the abuser violated that protection order. Yes, violating the protection order isn't a criminal offense. Furthermore, the abusers that violated that protection order 3 or more times, a total of 98% of those criminal cases were dismissed. Fact, criminal court case terminations for municipal court in 2013, 42% of criminal cases were dismissed. In 2023, 64% were dismissed. Fact, percentage of criminal case dismissals that were domestic violence in 2013, it was 22.3%. In 2023, it was 49%. That means half of all criminal cases dismissed in 2023 were domestic violence cases. And based on the 2024 projections, it should rise to 60% of case dismissal. Fact, marriage rates in Clark County have dropped to over half, from almost 1,200 in 1990 to 612 in 2020. The percentage of domestic violence victims reported as married went from 15.3% in 2017 to 8.3% in 2020. The percentage of domestic violence victims reported as not married or live-in partners went from 18.4% in 2015 to 30.6% in 2023.
Beth, thank you very much. Your time has expired.
Okay, thank you.
Megan, before you start, on this mic, John Young. John? Okay, Megan, name and address for the record, please.
My name is Megan Reyes. I'm at 315 Cecil.
Could you lean in a little closer to the mic?
Oh, I'm sorry.
please?
My name is Megan Reyes, and I'm at 315 Cecil. I want to kind of pivot conversation a little bit today to ask the council to consider creating a new role for a volunteer coordinator. We obviously have a lot of people here that want to make a difference in our community, and they just don't have a clear path to do so. There are a lot of little things that need to get done that don't necessarily need a specific set of skills to get done. But the fact of the matter is that we just don't even know the status of volunteerism in Springfield. Could the parks use volunteers? How about the community centers, food banks, libraries, or any of the other social services available? Who are our volunteers? What does their availability look like? Are they college kids, parents, blue collar workers, white collar workers? Do they have any equipment or tools that they'd be willing to bring? We just don't have any answers to these questions. But they're really easy to find out. It just requires a lot of tedious legwork. So a volunteer coordinator would be able to do those tedious tasks, like reaching out to local colleges and businesses about their volunteer programs and asking city departments what they need, and creating a schedule for volunteer events that works for the people that are most likely to and able to volunteer. Community efforts for this are not really working. Like, for example, the Legacy, led by the Springfield Neighborhood Impact Division, just held a meeting, but they held it at 9:30 a.m. on a Saturday. So if you were a college kid who went to a party or has a job on Saturday, you probably couldn't go. If you have kids, if you only can sleep in on Saturdays because you go to church on Sundays, even if you're the type of person who would volunteer, you probably didn't go to that meeting because of the time. And it's not their fault. I mean, they're using the resources available to them, but this is just, like I said, very tedious work. And it's not skilled work. Any entry-level person would be able to do this. I know the city just hired a community manager, but just with Legacy, that role has a lot to take care of without throwing in volunteer organizing into the mix. This role could be a minimum wage part-time job. It could cost as little as $4,000 for an entire year. Which would very well establish a strong network of volunteerism, and this would benefit everybody in town. Wittenberg would be in a better position to compete against Columbus and Dayton for pre-professional students who often need a lot of volunteer opportunities. The city could save a ton of money on labor for projects such as tree planting, minor sidewalk maintenance, park cleanups, and other things that don't need skilled labor to do, and then put the money that they save towards projects that do require skilled work. Plus, a lot of our youth could gain real-world experience that would help them get jobs and scholarships. So please consider this role, and I'd love to hear your thoughts if time allows.
Thank you very much, Megan.
Can I say something?
Commissioner Tackett?
I have served over 24 organizations in 20 years. I have a volunteer's heart, and I totally feel that, and I'm up here taking the notes. So thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of people would love to have some direction to pitch in and be a part, right? Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's awesome as well. Thank you.
Hey, we got John Young, and following John, Gary Armstrong. Gary, you're already there, so
Okay,
fine. John,
very good.
floor is yours.
Okay. My name is John Young. I live 1441 Noel Drive. Let's see what else you need. That's it. Okay, good. I've been coming to these meetings for the last several weeks because of the tenor of some of the discussions and the comments and assertions so I've been interested in wanting to hear what people have to say. And when it comes to, this is around the issue of the Haitians in the community. And one of the things that really concerned me, I understand people are concerned. The influx of Haitians into the community has caught people by surprise. I do know that the city of Springfield has very little control over that. You are a city government. You're not the state. You're not the federal government. And so you're at the low end of the totem pole when it comes to political, social, legislative power. And so I think folks need to understand that. But really what bothered me was the issue of race. Not to say that some of the concerns and criticism were wrapped up necessarily in race, but I heard a comment last week that really bothered me. So I have to say something with regard to that. One of the speakers who was concerned about the Haitians coming into Springfield brought up the issue of IQ. Intelligence quotient, that got me. IQ is one of the bedrocks of white supremacy and racism. Whole notion that black people are intellectually inferior to white. When that person said the Haitian, how do you know what the IQ of the Haitians?
Excuse me.
Not their IQ. Did they take an IQ? No, but then you are looking at some misinformation.
Excuse me.
That is.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Mr. Young has the floor.
You received
one more comment, and I will ask that you be removed also. Mr. Young has 3 minutes, just like you had, and we're going to protect his time. So, Mr. Young, please continue.
Yes. You got to appreciate, understand just because you got some data from somewhere, it has to be credible.
Mr. Young, please address the commission.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
It has to be credible information. It has. I'm familiar with the IQ test, the whole issue of race in this country, the kinds of studies that were done, some of the leading racists historically in this country. I don't want to say, and I'm not going to say what I've taught. I have taught that stuff. I have taught that stuff since 1972 at several universities. I know the history of racism in this country. I know who some of the leading spokespersons were and their so-called studies that have been debunked. I know that stuff. So when you talk about race and IQ, you have to know your sources. They have to be credible sources, and you need that background. So no, you do not know what you're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Mr. Armstrong, Gary Armstrong, excuse me. Mr. Armstrong, Mr. Armstrong, you would go to that podium. Over here, Max DeLong. Max, where are you? Okay, you would go to that podium, please. Gary, name and address for the record, please.
Gary Armstrong, 109 East Ward Street. Sir, I hate it that there's another guy as old as I am or pretty close. But I agree with everything he said. I don't think color. I think with logic, kindness, forgiveness. I've heard a lot of stuff that I know some of you people are thinking with some rate, but you're also raising valid points that I've said over the last 2 years. And over the last 2 years, I've learned a lot. They don't listen. They don't care. They don't interact with me as a citizen. I gave them a valid point that there was a sitting commissioner that didn't take building permits and turned a 4-unit into a single across the street from me. Nothing done. 2 years. Nothing done. They can't do anything. There's systemic problems in this city manager, city commission. My solution is the recall. Because if I can't get people that can listen to honesty and integrity and solve problems, what do we got? We got people that can't solve any problem. If I was mayor, I'd listen to every one of you for at least a half hour every day and tell you what facts I needed and get back with you for a further meeting. That's how we get involved. When you bring up facts, the police department depends on facts. You can say so-and-so took crap in your yard, but have a picture of it. Take a picture of the pile. Take a picture of the person. Give the facts. They deal in facts. They can't deal in innuendo and what you're saying's happening. Because people can listen to me and go, he's probably lying. Well, you don't know me. I don't usually lie because it's one thing I was taught, although I didn't follow it until I was grown up, about 60 years old. And I never lie. And I never not care about everybody in here. And I represented people at International. And the first thing, when you come to me with a problem, I talk to you and I tell you what is valid about your situation, what facts you're telling me that are factual, and ones are things that are impossible to resolve. That's called honesty. That's what I want out of here. That's why I need 500 people to sign this thing, and I'm asking for recall of 3 commissioners. Not all. I think we need to have a couple, and I know there's a couple good hearts in this commission, but it's a start to change to solve the problems. I've asked Rue a couple weeks ago, a month ago, 2 months ago. You know, I don't have anything against Haitians, but this rowboat can only hold 20 people, and now you got 25,000 people. Did I get an answer back? No, I've never got an answer. Did the problems that I've told that are valid, they're all due to housing, overcrowding. Mark that gets up, he's making valid stuff, giving valid information. Oh, we're checking that out. Well, that was 6 months ago. They checked it out and didn't respond. There's no action. You have to have action to be an effective representative of the people. That hadn't happened.
Thank you, Gary. Your time is up.
Thank you, Mr. Armstrong.
We got Max DeLong over here, and then Carl Ruby. Carl, are you here? Carl, if you would go to that mic, please. Thank you. Mr. DeLong, your name and address for the record, please.
Max DeLong, 1020 North Fountain Ave. I own a real estate company based in Springfield, Simon Investment Properties. We target nuisance abatement, discarded eyesore properties. A lot of these properties are not they're not feasible to be sold, purchased, restored, either because of financial means, liens, mortgages, or more so because of deceased owners, multiple owners that are spread out. I have some creative title
Excuse me,
strategies.
Max, could you get a little closer to the mic? I'm having some trouble hearing it.
How's that?
Thank you. That's
Right,
much better. Thank you.
All right.
If we can only have one conversation at a time, that'd be awesome.
So please continue. Thank you.
We have some unique title strategies that allow us to make sense of purchasing these homes and restoring them, getting them to investors that turn them into rental properties or families that live in these properties themselves. These title strategies allow us to restore these homes that, in other words, are not able to be done anything with. A lot of these same properties are getting targeted with the receivership, properties that are nuisances being abated by receivers. So far, 8 months into 2024, we have gotten a little over $59,000 in delinquent taxes paid back to the Clark County Treasurer, either by properties we've assigned to other buyers, properties we have purchased and sold, and properties we have paid off the delinquent taxes ourselves. Unfortunately, I've gotten a lot of friction doing this, mostly at the county level. For an example of this is roughly a month ago, I purchased a property at East Southern, and this property has been vacant and tax delinquent for over 10 years. 3 days after I purchased it, it was sent to the tax auction. That's really upsetting, and that's something that's happened fairly often with us. Sometimes I'm able to pay those back taxes off in time. Other times I am able to successfully get a family in there and purchase it. We do pay off the back taxes, and we also have to pay court costs that It sucks we have to pay off. That case should have never been created. We're fixing a property, getting it taken to a family. I wanted to bring light to that, and also, as far as the receiver and the receivership, I've reached out to the city and those knowledgeable of this program and been I've been refused information. I'm not getting information on this. The city's attorneys turned me away when I've asked for this, and this needs to be public information. I would like to know about the properties that have gone through receiver and are going to in soon months. Also, when these properties are sold, the nuisances need to be abated, and that's not always the case. These properties are being sold, and some of them still do have standing nuisances.
Thank you, Mr. DeLong. The lady right behind you in the black dress is the head of community development, and I'm sure she will be glad to talk to you. Even though she's brand new in her role, we're happy to have her back in Springfield. So please talk to her in terms of your concerns. I'm confident she can address them. Mr. Heck, did you want to say anything? Okay.
Thank you.
Logan Cobb. Thank you. Carl Ruby here, and over here, Jude Earlywine. So you're up next, Jude. Where are you? Okay. Carl, name and address for the record.
Yes, I live in Clifton, but I pastor a church at 1504 Villa Road up on the north side. And I want to clear up some confusion about the resolution about Springfield being a welcoming city. In around 2014, I started an organization called Welcome Springfield. It was a small nonprofit organization that advocated for immigrants and that sought to educate people in the community on the value that immigrants bring to our community. And I brought a resolution to the city council asking them to pass it, saying that we are a city that welcomes immigrants and recognizes their value. And they did that. I believe it was unanimously. I can get you the wording for that, but all that it was a resolution. And
No,
welcome.
I have it. But thank
You have, okay. Welcome Springfield is not a part of any larger national organization. And in fact, I shut it down this year, largely just because I'm 62 years old and I can't lead a nonprofit and pastor a church at the same time. But I continue to use my position as a pastor to advocate for immigrants. And I just want to encourage us not to lose sight of the fact that the state of Ohio projects that we're going to lose 25,000 people by 2050. So I fully understand that it's a big challenge, and we need more help. But it's the first time in 80 years that we've grown as a city, and that has ramifications for economic development, just for the prospering of our city. And I want to thank you all for your work. I know that you're working super hard. I know that it's a complicated problem. And if there are ways that we can help, please just let us know. Thank you.
Mr. Ruby?
Thank you, Carl.
I appreciate you coming up to clarify that. And I should also clarify when I spoke on Welcome America earlier, what I meant is it seems as if you can go through a certification process to become a welcoming city.
Correct.
Springfield has not done that. We are not working towards it.
Correct.
We don't pay any dues to that organization. So I appreciate your clarifying.
Thank you. Over here, Jude Earlywine, and at this mic, Crescenda Powers. Crescenda, there you are, okay. Mr. Earlywine, name and address for the record, please.
I'm Jude Earlywine, and I live at 1255 South Fountain Avenue. I teach English at a local Haitian church every Sunday. I enjoy teaching our new neighbors. I've heard a lot of facts and data today, so I would like to explain my experience. Last Sunday was the last time I talked to my students. I asked everyone to have a conversation with each other to practice English. And one of the questions they were to ask was, how do you travel? By car, like everybody. I bring this question up because I've heard people say that Haitians cause accidents. Now, I don't know about y'all, but when I walk through my city, the only people that stop for me at crosswalks are Haitians. The thing I wanted...
This is a young man, guys. Come on.
Thank you. The thing I wanted my students to do was make their own questions after that. One man asked the person across from him, how did you get to the U.S.? by plane. I have never met a Haitian that crossed our border. He got here by plane. The Haitians who come to our city get here by plane. The next piece I want to bring to the next piece, I'm nervous. The next piece I want to bring to our attention is the housing situation. Now, a guy already got up here near the beginning and told everyone about it. Now, I can't improve on that, but I would like to bring it up. I have not been here long. My family moved here in August of 2020. There was barely anyone around. Other than the cars, it felt like a ghost town. Then the Haitians arrived. Now they make up a significant portion of our city. Now I see people outside of their homes, smiling. My neighborhood is full now. Get to know your new neighbors. It's more peaceful. I'm safer. This is my lived experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Earlywine. Crescendo Powers here. Belinda Powers. Belinda Powers. Oh, he's there? All right, you'll be there next. Crescendo, name and address for the record, please.
My name is Crescendo Powers, 228 East Southern Avenue. And I really want to, I have not heard nothing positive come from the community. I do thank y'all from my heart. Y'all are doing your best. But we need to come back as a community, as one. This community is going downhill. It's not because of the Haitians. I welcome them. I welcome them better than our own kind. Because y'all treat us like, y'all treat our own kind as like we ain't nothing. We need to come back together and be one. I was raised to love everyone. Why are we being so mean and so heartless to the Haitians? They didn't ask, but this is their country too. They deserve rights. Y'all need to be fair, just like everybody else wants to be treated. Treat everybody with kindness, respect, loyalty. And as far as I know, it's not just the Haitian that's running these lights, that's killing folks. It's our own kind. It's our own kind. I done got ran off the road twice by our own kind. It's not these Haitians. So please quit bashing the Haitians. Start bashing yourself, because it takes a community to make our community better. Please do better. And if y'all not gonna do it better, do it better for our children, because our children is the future. Thanks.
Thank you. Belinda Powers, and Belinda's card is the last one I have.
Yes,
So,
sir.
Belinda, your name and address for the record, please.
Belinda Powers, apartment 102 East Main Street. I live in Shawnee Apartments. My concern is I am a senior citizen. I no longer drive. I take public transportation a lot. Where I am asking, if possible, if the police department can issue an officer at the bus stop at the beginning of the month because of the crowds. Not necessarily the Haitians, just because of the crowd. As a senior citizen, now I personally can protect myself, okay? But you have a lot of senior citizens that don't drive. We depend on public transportation. We need a police officer there at the first of the month. And also, if something has to be done. You know, I don't feel safe. I don't like feeling like that. Walmart has increased their security, okay? And also, is it possible to start running buses maybe half a day on a Saturday? Everybody does it but Springfield. We need transportation on weekends. Now, luckily, I do have rides on weekends to church or whatever, but we need public transportation on weekends also. Everybody but Springfield. So if it's in the budget, I would appreciate it. I'm a very independent person. I'm telling you, we need transportation on weekends, half a day, 9 to noon or 9 to 1 or whatever. Something needs to be done because nobody has addressed this. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Heck, if you would, we're in the process of switching to a new bus system that will provide almost Uber-like transportation. So Brian, why don't you give everyone a little quick synopsis of where we are and what we're trying to accomplish?
Yes, Commission, we're working towards going to a more micro-transit model, which would allow us to expand services. Initially, weekends aren't in the cards, but it's something we want to be able to expand to. We want to expand our hours during the day, throughout the week, and we're working through that. We did not receive any proposals the first time we put it out. We've met with each of the companies that had come to the proposal meeting to ask, their concerns, why they didn't propose, and we're going to put that back out to get that. So we're hoping that we get some proposals this time as we have addressed some of the concerns with how the proposal was presented, and then we can start moving forward to improve the transit system. It's something that we're always looking at as ways that we can improve that public transportation system within our community.
Belinda, if I could also ask, before you leave, if you could give Mr. Heck the address of the bus stop you're talking about, that would be very helpful to us.
I think you mean downtown, correct?
Yeah. You mean the downtown bus stop? Yeah, got it. Okay, thank you so much.
Can I ask Brian a quick question? The goal possibly could be to expand this countywide as well with the new transportation that was discussed before.
Yes, that is certainly something that's been looked at and talked with county partners and TCC is how can we incorporate this, not just in the city of Springfield, but across the entire county.
Thank you.
Being on the TCC board, one of the things that we're looking at is probably implementing it first in the city. And then, because we did have one bus that ran in the county and the lack of ridership just ultimately led to us doing away with it. So I think you'll see it implemented incrementally, first within the city and then looking at to the larger county.
I'm very excited about that coming
I-
on board. I think it's going to be amazing.
I think it'll help a lot of people, including a lot of people who are employed on shifts other than the first shift or even the second shift. So we think it'll be a good development.
And the environment.
Yep, absolutely. That concludes the comments from the audience. I'm going to ask that we take a 5-minute recess, and then we'll reconvene the meeting to take up the first reading of ordinance.
And I'll be by the doors in case anybody gets locked out.
Here, I can take a picture and I'll send it to her. Would that work?